Touching down in Toronto, Canada's men's soccer team has arrived in our city as they prepare to kick off their World Cup tournament on home soil. Good evening. The countdown to the 2026 FIFA World Cup is on. The Canadian squad arriving at Billy Bishop Airport this afternoon.
And in less than a week, they'll take to the pitch for their first match against Bosnia and Herzegovina. Let's go live to TSN's Matthew Shinetti, who's at Billy Bishop. Matthew, I think when all the players got off the plane, a lot of us in the newsroom, we did a bit of a double take. They had the ties on, double-breasted suits. Are we reading too much into this, or is that Team Canada sending a message that, listen, this is a business trip?
I can tell you, Raheem, that the message that has come from Jesse Marsh and his coaching staff over the last 2 years, and I've covered them for a long time, is calmness and confidence, and we will control our own narrative. So as someone who enjoys wearing a good suit myself, I was not surprised when they came off looking as clean as they did. This is all by design. You're going to hear a lot from Jesse Marsh and his vocabulary in the coming days and weeks, and however long Canada is in this tournament, that his team will control its own narrative. So them coming off looking as they did, looking confidently with that incredible Toronto skyline behind them, really is on script for Marsh and his team.
Unfortunately, and I know a lot of Canada fans are hurt about the news about Moise Bambito, but you spoke with Jesse Marsh and he had some interesting things to say about him. Can you shed some light on what he said about Bambito, but also the latest on the status of Alphonso Davies?
Now, this is pretty much Jesse Marsh's psychology when it comes to this team. He has built so many close relationships with all of his players. He has taken time to go to Europe, to be with them as they have gone through this real injury saga. Not only Alphonso Davies, who is still trending towards participating at some point in this tournament. The chances of him participating on June 12th keep going down day after day, given the fact that most that we, the media, have seen him do in training is just jogging around the field. But Marsh has gone to see Promise David, who ruptured a tendon in his hip 14 weeks ago, is magically on this team. He went to go see Bambito when Bambito was dealing with a stress fracture, then a broken leg. So I am not surprised that Jesse Marsh is going to, in front of the cameras, say that he's going to give his star center back Moise Bambito as much time as he can to show that he can participate at any point in this World Cup, despite several confirmed reports that Bambito is not healthy enough to participate. And remember, this is a key point. Canada has up until this Thursday at 3 p.m., 24 hours before its first game against Bosnia and Herzegovina on Friday, to replace one of its 26 players and grab a player from its 55-man provisional squad that it named last month. But I am not surprised that Jesse Marsh, given the relationship he's built with his players, is going to give Bambito as much time as he can, although everything I've been hearing and several other reporters have heard, Bambito's not good to go.
Okay, so it's Sunday evening. Team Canada doesn't play their first match until Friday. Can you pull back the curtain a little bit for our viewers, and what does the week ahead look like for Team Canada?
Well, they will head up to Toronto FC's training ground at Downsview Park, and they will be there as of Monday, and they will train early in the mornings Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And the intense training that you might have seen in Charlotte and a little bit in Edmonton and Montreal, that's off the table now. This is all about preparing their bodies for the biggest game of many of these players' lives. This is a home World Cup. The eyes of the nation are now going to be on Canada. And as I mentioned already, Marsh, not only is it a physical approach for him, it's also a psychological approach. He wants his players not to be overawed by the moment, because when you look at a team like Bosnia and Herzegovina and what they've already done in beating Italy in a European playoff to get to this moment, well, the pressure is off them. The pressure is on the home team in Canada, and Marsh is going to do whatever he has to do. And there have been several planned events around this team. Last week in Montreal, they had Georges St-Pierre, the legendary MMA fighter, give a speech to the team. I'm suspecting a lot of that more this week. But a lot of attention to details. If you watch a Canada practice, and I'm hoping I see you there, Raheem, you're going to see a lot of intensity, a lot of demands that these players are emotionally, physically, and mentally locked in. But Jesse Marsh is the face of this team. He is going to try to take all the pressure off of them so they can focus on preparing for Friday while he deals with all the noise around them.
I'm picking up my accreditation tomorrow, so hopefully I'll see you down there. And you're right, it's the details, right? It's the details that get you out of the group stage onto that next round. So we'll be watching. TSN's Matthew Shinetti, thanks for this, man.
Appreciate it.
All right, meanwhile, the squad from Bosnia and Herzegovina landed at Pearson Airport earlier today as they prepare to start their tournament. They held a training session at Centennial Park in Etobicoke this afternoon, and Bosnia and Canada will square off in their first World Cup match on Friday at Toronto Stadium.
I think, Raheem, if they need a player, you should suit up.
As the water boy, maybe.
Okay, so as you heard, we are less than a week away. We'll soon find out what kind of benefit local businesses will get from the tournament.
As CTV's John Woodward reports, one shop has some high expectations.
It's a smoke right out of Canada. See, they know.
It may look an awful lot like a FIFA trophy, but yes, that is a bong to smoke marijuana.
We have our championship bong.
One way that Charlie Katie of Cosmic Charlie's on Toronto's Queen Street West is getting into the FIFA spirit.
I'm guessing you got high hopes for sales on these things?
We'll see. I think some fans will definitely get to enjoy this, hopefully while they watch the game.
One of many businesses in FIFA host cities hoping to capitalize as players head out onto the grass, hoping, of course, not to engage any copyright claims.
The yellow trophy of a soccer-based event held across North America in 2026?
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Bars preparing for a rush, but there are signs the benefits aren't entirely living up to the hype. Tickets could be found on resale websites going for hundreds, not thousands. Music journalist Karen Bliss bought two for just $222 each.
And I went on, and it said the lowest were $222 and I think 37 cents. And I was like, that's strange.
Airbnbs still available in Toronto and Vancouver, some dropping prices only a week out from the first Toronto game where Canada is playing, prompting this sports economist to say we should be wary of big claims.
If I'm living in Montreal and I'm thinking about coming to Toronto in June or July because that's the best time of year to come see Toronto, I might say, you know what, the World Cup's going to be there. It's probably going to be crazy. How about we just pass this year and let's go to Niagara Falls instead? So all you're doing then is just substituting one set of tourists for another set of tourists.
Meanwhile, the city of Toronto says the more than $4.6 million it spent on tickets and other hospitality assets has paid off, saying in a statement, there are currently less than 70 unsold tickets of the 3,546 tickets purchased, and these are expected to sell out through the host city donor agreements before the tournament. Back at Cosmic Charlie's, Katie is betting some tourists will take advantage of Canada's legal weed.
No, it's novelty. It's part of the joy of weed sometimes.
And if their team doesn't take home a championship, they can at least take home the championship bong. John Woodward, CTV News.
All right, here's a live look at the city this hour. It has been another beautiful day. Let's take a look at the satellite radar. Not much to show you. Very clear evening. You can see there are a few clouds to the east of us in the Ottawa-Kingston area. Significantly less winds than there were earlier today. Earlier at around 9 a.m., we were gusting up to 40 kilometers per hour. Right now, just 13 kilometers per hour. Temperature-wise, 23 degrees in Orangeville, 25 degrees in Windsor, feeling like 26 in Muskoka and 25 in Ottawa. At the islands right now, still plenty of sunshine and 17 degrees. Pearson Airport still dealing with a little bit of humidity, 26. Tonight, our overnight low is 15 degrees along with a light wind. We are going to get quite warm next week. We'll give you all those details as well as when we could see some much needed precipitation. Andrea.
Thanks, Raheem. Turning now to a tragic update on a house fire in Markham Friday morning. Police confirming that 3 elderly residents have died in hospital. 2 women in their 70s and a man in their 80s were taken to hospital. All later died. Flames broke out at a home in the area of Carlton Road and Kennedy Road at around 6:45 a.m. Friday. 2 occupants of the home were removed by firefighters and turned over to paramedics. The fire eventually spread to a neighboring house. Ontario's Office of the Fire Marshal was notified about the blaze and is still at the scene trying to determine the cause. Police have said there's no indication that the fire is suspicious.
3 people are dead and 2 others are injured following a serious collision involving multiple motorcycles near Peterborough. The multi-vehicle crash involved a car and 4 motorcycles on Highway 7 between Heights Road and Lilac Road in Omemee. It happened around 6 p.m. Police say the 18-year-old man driving the car and a 72-year-old male motorcyclist were both pronounced dead at the scene. A 65-year-old man on a motorcycle died later in hospital. A third motorcyclist, a 30-year-old man, was rushed to a trauma center with serious injuries.
I believe that the motorcycles were in a group. However, I don't know the direction of travel for both the vehicle and the motorcycles. Again, hopefully in the couple days following here, we'll have an idea from our investigation that we're doing.
A fourth motorcyclist was treated and released at the scene.
Officers are looking for a driver who fled the scene of a late-night crash in Scarborough. It happened shortly after 11:30 last night at McCown and Ellesmere. Police tell us the vehicle went over curb and collided with another vehicle. A 59-year-old man was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The driver who caused the crash remains outstanding.
Fire crews are responding to a serious flooding incident at an apartment building in the city's East End. Toronto Fire says the call came in around 3:30 a.m. for a significant water issue on an upper floor of an apartment building on Lumsden Avenue. They say there is a large amount of water in multiple units throughout the building and electricians are on scene. We spoke to some of the impacted residents.
A lot of alarms are going off and firefighters came on and were saying there was a flood that's happening. They said it was gonna maybe turn up, but it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And I just came outside this morning, seeing it all, and realizing and talking to other tenants, and they're saying what happened is their whole side is flooded on their side, and we don't know what's happening, and there's a bunch of fire trucks here.
And then I woke up and then I saw basically all these fire trucks and saw the waterfall over there, and I'm hearing, it's affecting a certain part of the unit, and it's totally destroying, I guess, their apartment. I think renovations and stuff will have to be done.
Toronto Fire has not said how extensive the damage is at this time or when they will be able to clear the scene.
The annual Walk with Israel brought out an estimated 60,000 people in North York today.
The public show of support was met with counter-demonstrators and a heavy police presence. Toronto's Jewish community walked together north along Bathurst Street in what has become one of the largest public demonstrations in support for Israel.
We're here because we're proud. We're here to be loud. We're here because we want to show everyone who we really are. So I'm Israel Chai, and we're from Israel.
As Jews, we don't feel as comfortable in Canada any longer.
There was a visible police presence, with Toronto police supported by officers from York, Durham, Peel, and the Ontario Provincial Police.
You'll see, obviously, a lot of overt assets in place wearing uniforms and many different types of uniforms and different types of equipment. And, of course, we also have many things happening that you will not see to ensure that we keep this walk safe.
Toronto police say at least 4 arrests were made, including a woman for obstructing a peace officer and a man for assault. Another person was also issued a ticket for operating a drone. It's unclear at this time whether those involved in these incidents were part of the Walk with Israel or counter-demonstrators.
It's such an important moment for the community to come together, show unity, show strength, and just feel that pride after a really, really challenging year.
Makeshift blue partitions were held up by some members of the Jewish community to block walkers from seeing the dozens of counter-demonstrators.
I'm not here to hate anyone, and I'm very shocked that despite of Canadian freedom of Charter of Rights, they are blocking the view of the marchers to see us. So it's first time I'm seeing that Canadians on that side cannot see the Canadians on this side. Why?
And a number of those who showed up in support of Palestine are Jewish themselves.
To make it clear that there are Jews who do not support what Israel is doing, what Israel is, what Israel has become.
Last year's event raised $1.4 million for families impacted by the October 7th attacks and other victims of anti-Semitism. Toronto police have made an additional arrest in connection to the walk. A woman was arrested for obstructing a peace officer. Now to the conflict in the Middle East. Health officials say Israeli strikes killed 9 people in the Gaza Strip today. 20 others were injured in an attack on a Hamas-run police post adjacent to a large tent encampment of displaced families in Khan Yunis, and in another strike later that hit a vehicle driving through the middle of Gaza City. The Israeli military did not immediately comment on the incidents. The attacks came as mediators began new efforts to salvage a fragile ceasefire deal brokered by the U.S. in October. Israeli troops control more than half of Gaza's territory.
Elsewhere, Israel says it struck Hezbollah infrastructure in Beirut's southern suburbs today. Lebanese state media reported 2 dead and 11 injured. The Israelis insist they attacked after an Iranian-backed militant group fired at northern Israel. The capital's southern suburbs have been hit 3 times since the ceasefire was announced by the U.S., but fighting between Israel and Hezbollah in the south has continued. The Israelis said today Iran launched missiles at it in the first such attack since the truce took effect. Tehran had warned of retaliation after Israel struck the Beirut suburbs today. And 1 person was fatally shot and 5 others were wounded when a man in a car opened fire at 3 locations in Israel today. It happened close to the border with the occupied West Bank. Police say they killed the suspect after a brief pursuit. A second man was later arrested, but there were no details of his alleged role. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attacks.
The Israeli military says it identified missiles launched from Iran today and that its defense systems had intercepted them. Earlier in the day, Israel attacked suburbs in southern Beirut for the first time since the U.S. announced a ceasefire plan last week. But Tehran has long said any peace deal would depend on a truce also holding in Lebanon. U.S. President Donald Trump says he will tell the Israelis not to retaliate against Iran for today's missile launches. Israel is now closing crossings into the Gaza Strip following the missile attacks by Tehran.
The Middle East will be an important topic of discussion at the upcoming G7 summit in France. The summit begins June 15th, but Canada's Prime Minister will be traveling to Europe this Thursday. Mark Carney is scheduled to meet with political and business leaders in Dublin and Paris before the G7 leaders gather. He's expected to discuss trade ties with European economies. France says the focus of the G7 summit will be reducing global inequities.
As the Canadian government seeks closer ties with China, Ottawa is being warned about pivoting to Beijing among tensions with the U.S.
Trading is one thing, but China is very good at integrating its elements of national power, its diplomacy, its information, its military, and its economic tools, and to achieve national objectives. And we just need to go into any future relationships eyes wide open.
Those comments from Canada's former top soldier come after the Prime Minister's visit to Beijing earlier this year. The 2 leaders agreed to a new partnership that includes a softening of retaliatory tariffs and Carney's goal of increasing exports to China by 50% by the end of the decade.
Meanwhile, the chair of the Liberal caucus is disputing a Toronto Star report that indicates the Prime Minister is dismissive and has been known to yell at MPs.
Absolutely false. I sit closer to him in caucus than I'm sitting to you right now. When I read that 2 nights ago, I had a variety of emotional reactions. One of them was, concern. One of them was anger. One was great disappointment because it's not true. It's absolutely not true.
James Maloney calls the reporting factually incorrect regarding MPs approaching him about Carney's leadership style. He added he's never heard the Prime Minister yell.
The leader of the official opposition will deliver a keynote speech in Calgary tomorrow, outlining what should be done to help ensure Alberta remains part of Canada.
Pierre Poilievre is expected to say that separatists don't have an issue with their fellow Canadians. They have a problem with the federal government. CTV's Jeremy Sharon reports.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has been clear about where he stands.
I want a strong Alberta within a united Canada.
And Monday, he'll take that message to Calgary to deliver a keynote speech launching his campaign to promote Alberta staying within Canada. In an excerpt of his speech shared with CTV News, Poilievre has a pitch. We do not need a different country, Alberta. We need different government policies in Ottawa, the excerpt reads.
The majority of Albertans who do think that Alberta has been treated unfairly, that it doesn't get the respect for the contribution it makes to the country, and to have someone speak to that could change the minds of those who are what we call soft separatists.
The speech is expected to call for a change in government policies to address separatist concerns. The answer is not to pull away from our friends in other provinces, but to lock arms with them to make the changes we need, the excerpt goes on to say. The Carney government has signed an MOU with Alberta on a potential pipeline, but Poilievre has argued it doesn't go far enough.
Mr. Poilievre is starting to signal to both Albertans and folks in other parts of the country how a better version of federalism could benefit everybody.
Alberta is set to hold a referendum on October 19th that will include several questions, including one related to independence. Poilievre's Monday speech comes on the heels of a similar pitch from Premier Danielle Smith Friday night to a sold-out crowd of her party members.
I've always been clear that I believe in a strong and sovereign Alberta within a united Canada.
Mr. Poilievre has previously described himself as a strong Canadian federalist and a proud Albertan. Monday's speech will be the launch of what he says will be a cross-province campaign to keep Canada together. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News, Ottawa.
Canada's 31st Governor General will be sworn in tomorrow morning during a ceremony at the Senate building in Ottawa. Louise Arbour has served as the UN Human Rights Commissioner and as Chief Prosecutor at The Hague. Once she is installed tomorrow, the new Commander-in-Chief will go to the National War Memorial, where she will inspect the Guard of Honor and place flowers in tribute to Canadians who fell in combat. Arbour succeeds Mary Simon, who has served in the role since 2021.
With high fuel and fertilizer costs already squeezing farmers, many in rural Manitoba are facing another costly challenge: theft.
As CTV's Alex Karpa reports, recent copper wire thefts are leaving some producers with damaged equipment and hefty repair bills.
This is the pivot irrigation system.
Copper wire from this pivot irrigation system was stolen from Rachel Proden's farm in southern Manitoba, leaving it unusable.
We were thinking it's going to be around that 20 grand that we're going to have to spend to fix it.
The damage hasn't stopped there. Proden says the copper wire in one of her corn planters was also stripped, completely destroying the equipment in the process. She says they were forced to buy a new machine, which cost them around $50,000 to replace.
Looking at replacing stuff when you weren't, those weren't in the budget this year. So looking at that, it's very frustrating and kind of nerve-wracking.
Proden said this recent theft is extremely frustrating and could have a significant impact on her farm. In response to similar situations, others in this region have already taken drastic security measures to help prevent further crime.
So you can see there we are in the camera there.
Near Elm Creek, around an hour from Winnipeg, Colin Penner has installed security cameras and additional lighting around his property. He says the recent rural theft is troubling.
Rural theft, it's a big thing, right? We depend on our tractors, our trucks, and our equipment for our livelihood. And when they disappear on us, it can really impact how we can do our job.
Manitoba brought in the Scrap Metal Act 4 years ago that bans the sale of stripped metallic wire without proof of ownership. But Proden says more needs to be done.
The fact that there's somewhere that somebody can sell this copper wire to is frustrating.
Proden and other farmers are offering a $10,000 reward for information that leads to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the recent thefts. Alex Karpa, CTV News, Portage La Prairie, Manitoba.
In Ukraine, a Russian drone strike killed 3 people waiting at a bus stop in a southeastern part of the country today. Elsewhere, a separate attack damaged a storage center for spent nuclear fuel in the Kyiv region. The drone strike sparked a fire that was extinguished within an hour, and radiation levels remain stable. The International Atomic Energy Agency says the incident is deeply concerning due to the large amounts of nuclear material at the facility. No injuries were reported.
Over 1 million people turned out for a mass by Pope Leo in Spain today, with more trying to get in. A crowd several rows deep cheered as the pontiff made his way to the service at a central Madrid plaza. He looped around the side and surrounding streets during the first papal visit to the country in 15 years. The Pope has been keen to especially encourage young people to find their faith in a once staunchly Catholic country where religious observance has declined.
Coming up on CTV News, the Jays wrapped up a home series with the Baltimore Orioles this afternoon. We take you to the ballpark after the break.
And the Blue Jays have the lead.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Welcome back. In Denmark, it was all business in the front and a party in the back this weekend. Yikes. Hundreds gathered for the annual Mullet Championships. The raucous competition in Copenhagen attracted 12 well-coiffed competitors vying for the title. They were judged on style, uniqueness, and overall performance. 43-year-old construction worker Thomas Berg took home this year's top prize.
Come on, segue.
I'm gonna have to work for that one. Well, listen, I know a number of people. The mullet is back in style.
Yeah.
Those were quite extreme, but I do love a good mullet. When it's well done, there's nothing. It can be quite lovely.
It's tough in the summer heat, though.
That's when you put in a little ponytail. Take it off the back of your neck.
I've unfortunately never had hair long enough for that. Yeah.
Well, the hair you do have looks fantastic.
It's like this long, though. Let's take a look at the weather, shall we? Temperatures right now, 23 degrees in Toronto. A little bit of humidex, feeling like 26. Thunder Bay, 18 degrees. Red Lake, 29 degrees. Here's your evening at a glance. We don't cool off much until later. 9 p.m. still 23 degrees. 11 p.m. still 20 degrees. Clear with a light wind. Our overnight lows, as you can see, we do drop a little bit more, down to 15. And so slightly above normal, except Bancroft and Owen Sound. Owen Sound's right on the money there, and Bancroft is a couple degrees below where they should be for this time of year. As we wake up tomorrow, a pleasant start to the day. 17 degrees by 7 a.m. and plenty of sunshine. And we continue to warm up from there. Check this out. Our daytime high tomorrow, 27 degrees, feeling like 30. Of course, if you are down by the lake, it'll be significantly cooler. So looking at a daytime high of around 20 degrees by the lake, and likely a little windier as well. If you are heading outside tomorrow, you want to apply that sunscreen multiple times tomorrow because we are in that very high UV index range. Everyone across the board sitting at a 9. So get outside and enjoy. Just be safe about it. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We've talked about Monday. We could see some showers on Tuesday, typical when we get into these high heat values, with the humidex feeling like 33. Then on Wednesday as well, similar. And on Thursday, even without factoring in the humidity, it'll be 32 degrees. And then the first game in Toronto for the FIFA World Cup, Friday, 31 degrees, a 30% chance of showers. Hopefully that holds off. And then right now, it isn't looking until next Sunday that we could see some thunderstorms. Andrea.
Thanks, Raheem. On average, 69 people in Canada get diagnosed with colorectal cancer every day.
Most adults start to get screened at the age of 50. But with cases on the rise for those under 50, Ontario is dropping the age for testing. CTV's Kamal Kermali reports.
Can you wear that at your recital today?
There was a time when Ashley Wiley thought she would never be able to experience moments like these with her daughters ever again, after she was diagnosed with colorectal cancer last year.
My fear is not seeing my kids grow up.
Fear, but also gratitude that she caught it when she did. Having just turned 41, Wiley didn't qualify in Ontario for colorectal screening, which begins at 50. So after experiencing symptoms, she pushed her doctor to get one.
Is there not another exam we could do? Should we not do, like, maybe a colonoscopy or something?
So how grateful are you then that you pushed your doctor for a colon cancer screening?
I don't even have words for that. I can't even believe where I would be right now if I didn't.
Now, on July 1st, Ontario will become the second Canadian province to lower the age eligibility for publicly funded colon cancer screening. Ontario will join PEI in having colorectal cancer screening available to those 45 years and older. The rest of Canada has that age limit set at 50. A study published this year shows lowering the age by 5 years across the country would mean 15,000 fewer cases and more than 6,000 fewer deaths in the next 40-plus years. And that has cancer groups calling for a national strategy to reduce the screening age countrywide.
I think it's very significant because we know that if we can detect cancer in an early stage, we are able to cure them with higher rates.
Ottawa has introduced a new health advisory committee it says will mark an important step in creating more evidence-informed guidelines, but hasn't committed to lowering the age. For Ashley Wiley, this bell marking the end of her treatment in November.
Try again.
A feeling that she won.
We would be looking at very different odds and in a very different scenario without that screening.
When she chose to advocate for herself. Kamal Karamali, CTV News, Toronto.
In sports, the Toronto Blue Jays were looking for the series win as they hosted Baltimore today in the rubber match of their 3-game set at Rogers Centre.
Off the foot of Cano. And Lucas will reach. Coming to the plate, Jimenez. And the Blue Jays have the lead.
The Jays took the lead on that play, capping a 5-run, 6-inning rally. They had been down 4-zip until then. Toronto would tack on another run to win 6-4. Up next, the Jays host Philadelphia starting tomorrow night. Toronto Tempo were also in action this afternoon, hosting the Chicago Sky at Coca-Cola Coliseum.
Jaquez matched up with Sykes. Slim. Head to the inside. 13 in the corner for Slim.
Brittany Sykes led the way for the Tempo with 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. Toronto dominated the game, winning 85-68. The victory improves their record to 6-5 so far this season. The Tempo now return home to host the Connecticut Sun on Wednesday.
The Toronto Marlies will advance to the Calder Cup final with a win tonight.
And now here's Haynes in alone, and a great defensive play. This one finds its way in.
The Maple Leafs AHL affiliate won 5-1 at home on Friday and now lead the best-of-7 Eastern Conference final 3-2. They're in Pennsylvania this evening for Game 6 against the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. If necessary, Game 7 is Tuesday, also on the road.
Meantime, Connor McDavid has won the Ted Lindsay Award as the NHL's most outstanding player. The Edmonton Oilers superstar says it means so much because the award is voted on by NHL players. McDavid led all scorers this past season with 90 assists and 138 points. It is the 5th time the 29-year-old center has won the award, tying Wayne Gretzky. McDavid is also a Hart Trophy finalist for League MVP.
Alexander Zverev is no longer one of the top-ranked players never to win a major title. Zverev is finally a Grand Slam champion. He beat Flavio Cobolli for the French Open title today. It was his 4th major title, and the 3rd-ranked German took full advantage of the red clay of Roland Garros, with Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz not across the net.
Back here at home, a portion of Line 1 is closed today for critical infrastructure work ahead of the FIFA World Cup. There's no subway service between St. George and Shepherd West stations. Shuttle buses are running instead. The TTC says the closure will allow crews to complete the installation of a new rail and track hardware. And looking ahead to tomorrow, there will be limited service between Lawrence West and Wilson to allow for the removal of multiple reduced speed zones. Trains will operate on a single track in both directions, resulting in delays of up to 25 minutes. Meanwhile, there's no GO train service on the Lakeshore East line between Oshawa and Union due to construction. Replacement buses are running between Oshawa and Pickering with express service into Union. On the Stouffville line, trains are suspended between Old Elm and Union stations. Stay with us, folks. More to come.
What started as a pest problem in their home turned into a wild adventure for one Vancouver couple.
And it's now inspired a new passion of saving squirrels. CTV's Adam Sawatsky explains.
When she looks back at pictures of her old home, little Woo will never forget that day she heard something weird in the walls.
Scurrying, and we're like, oh no, we have a rat problem.
So she and her partner Shane turned a box into a trap, placed it in front of the fireplace, and waited.
And then all of a sudden we heard a scurrying. We got it, slammed the door.
They carried the box to this nearby park and prepared to set the rat free.
Oh, it's a squirrel. Oh, hey, buddy.
It was, concern about what we might find to absolute joy.
But instead of running away, the baby squirrel stayed absolutely still.
So we were just trying to brainstorm, what do we do with this baby squirrel?
Little Woo and Shane agreed the squirrel needed its mom, But when they brought the baby back home, she didn't return for him.
Well, we were kind of trying to come up with sounds like, I was like, we don't really know. We don't know.
So they found a recording of an actual squirrel's cry online, placed the baby on the ground, and played it. Less than a minute later,
We were shocked because
the mom appeared on the fence before racing to the ground to investigate.
it was testing, to see if there's something a little bit off, suspicious.
Then she moved close, scooped him up. The mom and baby reunited.
And I was like very choked up. Like I felt a sense of awe that this actually worked.
But this, it turns out, was just the beginning.
It was like a deja vu.
Over the next few days, they heard more scurrying and found way more squirrels in their fireplace.
Felt like a portal from another dimension full of squirrels. It was like one after another. They kept coming.
But this time, little Wu and Shane cared for them before driving them to an animal rescue. And once the babies were old enough, the whole family was released into the wild, leaving these humans feeling a deep affinity with squirrels.
So we'll always remember the time that the squirrels came through the portal and decided to give us the gift of being able to connect with them in that way.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News.
Writing about economic policy isn't your typical pastime, but it is a passion for one grade 7 Markham student.
And now she's celebrating a big win for an essay she wrote on tariffs. CTV's Beth McDonnell has more.
13-year-old Amira Navanethan has turned curiosity into cash. The grade 7 Markham student wrote an essay for Stossel in the Classroom, a U.S.-based nonprofit educational foundation on tariffs, and won $2,500.
My mom told me, and I was in bed, and I was like, you're lying to me. I was not expecting that.
Navanethan took first prize out of 500 submissions from around Canada and the U.S. in the middle school division. The essay focuses on the hidden costs of tariffs, how they are taxes on Americans themselves, harm industries, and consumers.
I wanted to show the readers the part of tariffs that they don't see. They always hear the politicians on the screen saying, I'm going to put tariffs on this foreign country, and it will help support our local businesses. But we don't see the many losses that are happening behind the scenes.
Stossel in the Classroom tells CTV News Navanethan did an excellent job of researching, explaining, and analyzing the broad impacts of tariffs while keeping her essay focused, adding she had a strong point of view and expressed it exceptionally well.
And I'm like, what is it? Tariffs? Tariffs? What is that?
Navanethan says she never heard of tariffs until her teacher brought it up in class last year. That set off a domino effect. Every morning, she started reading the news, writing and sending article summaries to her mom to help remember and better grasp concepts before writing her essay.
I think I've always been so curious. I love learning about new things, and I always go through one thing, I want to learn this, and I want to learn that. And I've always wanted to ask questions. Questions were something that really helped me understand more about my world.
Career-wise, she says she can see herself becoming an academic one day, and for now, plans to keep writing.
Continuing, looking at these real issues that are happening in our world, especially with economics. I feel very drawn to economics, systems, how things work. That way I can actually support the right cause.
And keep asking questions. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
Well, it's not the last we've heard of her. Well, it's Broadway's biggest night as the Tony Awards will be handed out tonight in New York. That was production. 24 plays and musicals are up for prizes tonight across 26 categories, honoring the best performances and design elements on Broadway this season. Pink is hosting the show and performing a tribute to the 30th anniversary of Chicago.
Last month, Bell Media announced Saturday Night Live is coming to the network this fall.
This week, one of the show's stars came to Toronto to promote the show and talk about the move to CTV and Crave.
All right, adios, amigo. I'm taking this award, I'm taking Greenland, and I'm taking Zootopia. We love Zootopia.
It is quite the transformation for James Austin Johnson to morph into President Donald Trump every week on Saturday Night Live. Appearing at the Bell Media upfront promoting shows coming to the network this fall, I thought James Andrew Johnson is quite a mouthful, so I called him Jaj. Apparently, I'm not the only one.
J-A-J? Jadge, that's what my wife calls me. That's what everyone at SNL calls me.
No, they don't.
Yes, Jadge.
Seriously?
Yes.
I thought I made it up.
No, you didn't make it up. See, that's what's great about it as a nickname. It's just what people want to call me.
And live from New York City!
Johnson was in town to promote the news. Saturday Night Live is moving to CTV and Crave this fall.
I'm so excited. This is so cool to be a part of. Really, you know, the best television network in Canada. You know what I'm talking about? I feel like SNL's where it's supposed to be for Canadian viewers. So it's really exciting, you know, and Crave is cool too. So I'm happy to be here representing, you know, what we're making in New York and be able to share it with everybody up here.
The comedian often spends time in Toronto and Montreal performing.
I love Canada. I always have a great time up here because it's just like, what if America was good?
As for the impersonation, Johnson says it's easy.
If I take my sunglasses off and I do, you know, he kind of stands like this now, and he tilts his head and he kind of swings his arms as he listens to people talk, you know what I mean? So when you get the physicality going, and then you just imagine that I have a big hunk of ham right here.
And then step by step, it happened before my eyes, even without the prosthetics.
And then at a certain point, and you do the voice and you do all of it, and we don't know anything about it, but we're going to be looking into it very strongly. We're going to be looking into that because it's a really bad thing.
So all you got to do is you get into the physicality and you get some makeup on, and then you just start saying stuff.
When you get to hell, tell them Rosanov sent you.
He got me!
Season 52 of Saturday Night Live comes to CTV and Crave this fall. A love of dinosaurs and a big imagination have turned one local 12-year-old into a published author.
He's celebrating the release of his debut book, and CTV's Carol Charles recently caught up with the young writer.
60 million years ago, in the distant...
Most 12-year-olds spend their free time playing video games or hanging out with friends. But Caleb Holland has a different passion, a love for reading and dinosaurs.
I love T-Rexes. I love Spinosaurus, I love Velociraptors, but my favorite one is the T-Rex.
And that passion has translated to something bigger. At just 12 years old, Caleb is celebrating the release of his debut book, The T-Rex King, Rise of the Roaring Alliance.
My book is about a solitary T-Rex who fights for survival and becomes the hero of an island.
The story follows a group of unlikely allies who come together to face a powerful threat.
Who knows what Windflare would do to him if things went wrong? And besides, he might become an ally.
But bringing the story to life was a family effort. Caleb's family were there every step of the way, helping him proofread chapters, edit pages, and navigate the self-publishing process.
The story is just so incredible. I mean, it's a fun read, but there's so much good substance in it. Caleb has always been sort of the underdog. He has had some challenges with bullying in the past. And so for him to write a story about this lone T-Rex taking on these tyrants and becoming the hero, overcoming challenges, forming great alliances, building friendships, standing up for other people. That's Caleb's MO from end to end.
His father says seeing his son become an author has been a proud moment, and that Caleb loves sharing his passion for reading with others.
Caleb reads to everyone. There are times he reads to me, he reads to his mom, he reads for the birds, the budgies. He would spend time reading for the budgies. That's how much he loves reading.
Caleb has no doubt that people will enjoy the book.
It has a cliffhanger, it has a good ending, it has a mysterious ending, great things to hook you for the next book.
And Caleb's impact goes far beyond the pages. Through monthly reading challenges and programs that celebrate young leaders, he's helping other kids find their voices.
The pounding of rustling footsteps echoed on.
Caleb's book can be purchased on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles, soon to be released in Indigo bookstores as well. With a big imagination, supportive parents, and a passion for helping others, Caleb is proving that you're never too young to make a big impact. Carol Charles, CTV News.
I want to read it. Sounds great.
Well, you know where you can get it.
That's right. Look at all those people enjoying that pitch at City Hall. That looks great. I like that. Let's take a look at the temperatures, shall we? 23 degrees in Toronto, feeling like 26 with the Humidex. Here's tomorrow at a glance. 27 degrees, plenty of sunshine. The sun rises at 5:36 a.m. I'll be sleeping. Here's a look at the 7-day forecast. Monday we've talked about. Tuesday, 30% chance of showers. Wednesday, there is a fair bit of cloud cover on that day. On Thursday, our daytime high will be 32 degrees without even factoring the Humidex. And right now, it's looking like next Sunday is when we could get some thunder showers. Andrea.
Thanks, Raheem. Well, be sure to join us tonight at 11 for the CTV National News with Heather Buck, followed by our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For all the hardworking people in front of and behind the camera, thanks for watching. Have a good night. I'm Andrea Case.
I'm Raheem Ladani. Take care.